Okay, so I made this a pretty short presentation, and I know sometimes I can be things get a little complicated in the cybersecurity world and goes over the heads, and so I try to simplify this. And the reason why I'm doing this is I actually have come to learn that even information technology companies, the owners, all of them, really don't understand how cybersecurity solutions themselves work in the whole aspect. So really, how can I expect you guys to understand that? So I think I figured what I try to do is just focus on one little subject. There are two, but my focus is going to be one. Um, and this is something we actually covered um, prior, the top 5 steps to securing your work from home, and then just quickly security assessments and really what they are. And again, it's more of an overview than a detailed discussion. It's just to help you understand who may really need something like this. Because I don't know that there's anybody here other than Eileen, maybe a couple of others at the NYDFS level would need assessments. So that's why I figured I just try to keep it simple because, like I said, information technology companies clearly, without a doubt, don't really understand all the steps that are needed and why you actually do a security assessment. And that actually should be your first step. So anyway, the first item I wanted to cover, and again, we did talk about this before, is um, top 5 steps to secure your work from home. Um, Again, protect yourself. Attackers have learned the easiest way to get what they want. They target you rather than your computer or other devices. Protect your Wi-Fi. I say this all the time. You got to change the default passwords. If you don't, it's just very, very easy for a hacker to get into it. And then they can actually do what they want to do. And it may not be you. You say to yourself, "Well, who's going to back into my home system?" In today's world, it's not your home system they're hacking into. They're hacking into what you're connecting to. So if you're connected to a place of work or your work is at your home, that's what they're getting at. And that intellectual property, whatever it may be, could be out there in the world. Uh, Create strong password. Use a password manager. A lot of us has talked about that. And enable two-factor authentication. Wherever you can do that, you should enable that. It's as simple as that. You can actually keep your password the same with the two-factor authentication. It makes it almost literally impossible for a hacker to get in connecting through a remote session. Let's put it that way. Um, Make sure all your devices have the latest updates. Quick story, I told you about um, talking with Phil from United Water Restoration, um, and actually happened to me as well, just last week. So what happened was Phil clicked on a link at a website and a malware came down. Here's the good news. John listened to what I used to say at these meetings when I used to get my education, and he makes sure that all of his PCs in his office are always up to date with the latest security updates from Microsoft. And so he did get a malware, but it got quarantined. And the malware couldn't take advantage of any vulnerability on his PC because there were none, because he had all the updates applied. So I went there. It was very easy. I went through all the logs, and he was actually fine. And whatever came down got quarantined and couldn't run. The only thing I did was tweak it a little bit and turned on what they call control folder access. So, and then with me, it was the same exact thing. I know you guys probably remember this. A couple of weeks ago, I couldn't get on the call because a couple of my PCs, actually hard drives, failed. So my operating system are all brand new. Everything's up to date. I was looking for indicators of a compromise, and I actually clicked on FireEye's website. FireEye is the preeminent cybersecurity company out there in the world. They actually handled Sony. They actually work with the FBI and actually the NSA. So when they get hacked, FireEye is who they call. I clicked on their link that came up in my search result. I immediately got a malware came down. Again, because I had everything was updated, the malware got captured. It could not take advantage of any vulnerabilities on my system because everything was updated, everything was brand new. And so that's the importance of making sure all of your software and your operating systems are updated with the latest patches. And if you don't, and you click on a link, you're not even going to know you got a malware. So that's the beauty of doing this. That doesn't make it 100%, but 99% of it, and the hacker actually has to know what vulnerability they're looking for. It's not that they have a list and say, look for this, look for that, look for this. They just say, go look for this vulnerability because most people haven't run their updates. And so that's what a hacker does. And the other thing is, if you're working remotely, make sure your family and friends understand that they cannot use your work devices. I'll never forget working at the law firm, and the managing partner of the law firm let his grandkids work on his PC, and he got a virus that transferred into a document that he was working on for his client that he needed for Monday morning. And so as you can see, it just creates all kinds of craziness. So that's that part of it. Security assessment. What is a security assessment? You heard me talk about this a lot. The purpose of it, so here is the definition of a security assessment from Wikipedia. The purpose of a network assessment is to keep your network devices and data safe and secure by discovering potential entry points for cyber attacks. So what does that mean for you guys? You don't need to know this stuff. It's just too much detail. But really what it is, and physically what it is, it's a questionnaire of over 1,000 questions. Again, depending on the size of your company, and I assume that nobody on this list here, again, I'll eliminate Eileen from this because she does have to abide by some regulations. But most people aren't going to use a security assessment, but your clients are. That's who need this stuff. And what a security assessment is, it's a questionnaire of over 1,000 questions that are based on the business needs, the business industry, and it's also based on a framework of questions. It's not that we're asking questions out of the air. It's a list that tries to cover every single gamut that a hacker will try to use against a particular industry. And so that's why it's a framework that we use. It's not just a list that somebody created. So who needs a security assessment? As I mentioned, people who are regulated like HIPAA, NYDFS, SEC, the ISO, they all need to have these security assessments done annually. You got to understand the word annually. And believe it or not, a security assessment is only as good as the next day an update comes up. Believe it or not, that's actually how it works. But it is accepted that you do them annually. Some companies actually do them biannually. And again, we're talking enterprises where there's well over 1,000 people in an enterprise. So that's who do and who needs security assessments. I'm actually working with a law firm in Manhattan. So here's another reason why you want to do this. They actually do class action lawsuits that work with the SEC and the stock market. And so they look for fraud that occurred. So now what's happening is the people who they need to collect data from, they actually need to abide by certain rules and regulations of the SEC. So it's actually transferred down because they're going to have the data. They're going to collect their data. And so now they're being forced to do the ISO certification at a law firm level, which is usually your big enterprise law firms where there's 12, 13,000 people in a law firm. This is a law firm that's only got like about 700 people in it, and they actually have to do the ISO certification. So those are the people that actually who need security assessments. Like I said, most people on this call don't need them. Your clients definitely, without a doubt, there are people out there that need them, and you probably just hear little stories about um, what they go through. I actually listened to a gentleman with an insurance company, and he says it's just amazing how many things that they just came up with that he need to make changes. And the idea of a security assessment is to come up with a actually. So let me just take a. So this is what the results are of a security assessment. I'm jumping to this because it's what I was just going to go into. The results of a security assessment comes up with a gap analysis. The gap analysis is where you are today, where you need to get, and what the gap analysis is, what it's going to take to get there. Then it comes up with a remediation plan. What are you going to do to fix a particular problem? And then you need to have a project plan to put all this together, because like I'm doing with the one in Manhattan, it's going to take well over a year to get there, well over $400,000 to get there. It takes a project plan, it takes a budget, it takes every single piece of that. And then the final part of this is just the compliance and the certifications that go along with that. So that's what a security assessment is. It's not, the details are in the assessment, but this is what a security assessment is for. And it's not 100%, it never will be, because zero-day vulnerabilities happen all the time. You'll see Microsoft come out with a, they say you got to apply this update. And the moment that they're doing that, hackers are out there looking at that update. And here's the reason why. And they actually will back into that update to see what it's fixing. The reason why is because 75% of the people out there will not run the updates for months later. That gives the hacker time to take advantage of that vulnerability. So that's why I say to you, as soon as those updates come out, you need to get them applied to your machines so that a hacker can't get in there. That's it.